Hey everyone, welcome back to VIR for the third and final race of round 3. Races 1 and 2 were bitterly frustrating. Poor luck with the weather wiped out any hope we had of a decent result. But today is a new day. It's hot and sunny with no signs of rain, so that won't be a factor for this race. In free practice on Friday, we rolled the car off the trailer and set the 8th best time. So we're hoping again for a top 10 finish. I think top 10 is sort of going to be the goal for the rest of the season, to consistently finish in that area. Looking at the starting order for the race, we're going to have to make up 6 places at least to hit our target. We've got Chris Kears and Mike Scanlon immediately in front of us, and hopefully we can get a decent start and get around them early and start working our way back up the field. Shout out to Alex Barron in second place. I believe that's the Alex Barron who raced in Champ Car and IndyCar from about 1997 to 2007. So I'm not sure what he's done since then. But it's really cool to see such an accomplished driver join our championship just for one race or for one round. I think he was in the other races too. So let's take a brief look to remind ourselves of the track. 2 strong passing opportunities in turns 1 and 14. Lots of elevation changes up and down around the hills as we wind our way through southern Virginia. So it's the last race of a very difficult weekend, so let's try to end it on a high note. The weekend after this, we're going to Montreal for a non-championship race supporting Formula One. Of course, I've already put those videos up before these ones. So assuming we don't have any damage to this car, we've got a quick turnaround to get the car ready for Montreal. Our next championship event is in about a month at Mid-Ohio. It's one of my favorite tracks and was considered my home track until Pittsburgh International Race Complex expanded into what it is today. It was a very short track from when it opened in 2001. Until a couple of years ago when they added this, of course. Anyways, turning back to the task at hand, let's fast forward to our approach to the green flag and get race 3 underway. So we're starting in 16th place as the pace car rolls off the track. We're all formed up, ready to take the green flag. It's really hard to see the trees in the background. And we're off. Oh, we just got pinched on the inside. I think I could have dropped the wheel and maybe made that pass. Maybe slightly better to wait. We still get around him. So we were able to use a bit of the pit lane. Into turn 1. Everything clean so far. Trying to tiptoe around these other cars as we all fight to get on the best racing line. A little bit of oversteer there. Work our way around the outside. Not quite gonna work. You can see the grass is still flying out of the cockpit from when I went off in the last race. We weren't able to vacuum it all out for this race. Up through the S's, flat out, left, right, into this very fast turn 10. I was never going to make a pass there. I just didn't want to stuff my nose into the back of this car. Coming out of Oak Tree for the first time in the race, trying to get a good exit so we can take advantage of this 3-car draft. So you can see the white Cahill car of Ayrton Nori behind me. Sticking with this guy on the inside. As he makes a pass and shuffles in, we go to the outside. If we're on the outside of this left-hander in 14, then we'll be on the inside for 14A, which is really where you want to be. As something very strange happens. The engine note, for some reason, just dies. Not really sure why that happens. It's going to happen again. In that specific part of the track, as Ayrton Nori there gets around us through Hogpen. It's a daring place to pass. But it did a lot of strange things in the roller coaster this race, like what just happened. You'll notice going into turn 1 here, take a look at the left side of the track. Usually there's marker boards from 4, 3, 2, 1, and they're all gone except for the 1 and the 0 board. As you can see, cars off. In turn 1, a lot of smoke, a lot of dirt being kicked up. But I think what must have happened is in one of the races previous, earlier today. They must have had some cars sliding off the track on the outside and knocking those boards off. It makes it a little bit difficult. As you can see, the cars in front of us jockeying for position. It makes it a bit difficult to find a new reference point, because I was using the 3 board as my braking point. I think I would brake just after it, and now it's completely gone. So I have to sort of estimate where that was and find a tire mark or a patch of dirt or something to use as a braking reference into turn 1. But we're doing a pretty good job of staying up with this pack. This Cahill car over here, nor all the Cahill cars are really fast, so he's going to try to work his way through. But if we can stick with him and sort of, if he makes a pass, we'll just sort of stay on his tail, and the car that he's attacking will be able to sneak through as well. We're not quite close enough to do that right now, but that's the plan. That's the idea. As you can see my arm reaching there. We have the adjustable front anti-roll bar control on the left-hand side of the car, and of course I can't maneuver my left arm to do it, so I have to cross my body with the right arm. This car was much better under brakes, didn't have that weird engine note dip, as we sort of close enough to attack Ayrton, but again, this is a really risky place to do it, so it's better to wait, get a good exit out of Hogpen right here, which I think we did. We can attack him into turn 1. Stay in his draft. Try to delay the overtake so we can do it after this kink in the front straightaway. And get him under brakes. Textbook pass. I think my last downshift was a bit early. Let's see if we can pick off some of these other cars. I think he's trying to attack again. I may have been able to stuff my nose up there, but it would have been very risky. Maybe a bit too aggressive. Which, going back to my other thought, the front anti-roll bar on this car is adjustable, and I think throughout the race this car tends to trend towards understeer. So if I start the race with it stiff and then soften it as it goes, I can help alleviate that a little bit. Get some more grip in the front. Ayrton Orey not quite cutting his way through this pack as quickly as I expected. He's having a bit of trouble. Of course, we were able to attack him going into turn 1 as well. Wide going into the roller coaster. Oh, that was dicey. A double pass for here, and that was pretty cool. We've got Mike Scanlon there in front of us. He's a familiar foe on the track this season. Let's try to get a good exit again out of Hogpen like we did the last lap on Ayrton. Of course, he's 2 cars ahead of us now. But we can do the same thing, get in his draft, and then I'll break him into turn 1. Starting to build momentum to get around him. Pop out to the side. Try to find that braking marker that we're using. And a nice clean pass into turn 1. I pushed out a little bit wide there. Had trouble turning into the apex, but otherwise a textbook pass. Just trying to get good exits, trying to hit my marks, and reel this pack back in. Clouding the curve really hard there. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult to get back to power, which is going to hurt down this long straightaway. It seems like our mirrors are clear unless there's somebody on the left side trying to attack us, which I don't think there is. But right now we're free to keep our eyes forward and try to reel in these guys. As again, the engine just seems to cut out under braking. You see me shaking my head. I mean, the only thing that I can think of that happens there is the rear brakes are locking, but if that were happening, then it would be a lot more chaotic, as the back end would try to swap ends on me. So the fact that it's not, as you can see, Pelfrey cars, I miss an upshift. More problems for Ayrton Ori. It's very strange. As you can see, a puff of smoke up ahead. I think what happened is another car locked up, and the wind just sort of blew that tire smoke off the track. So I don't think anybody's actually gone off. There's no waving yellow, so. But back to that roller coaster problem with the engine cutting out. I'm really not sure what happened. But it's very disorienting. You know, when you are braking into a corner, you actually use that the tone of the engine slowing down to sort of orient yourself, and it helps balance the car. So when you lose that, it's extremely disorienting. You can see here I'm filling my mirrors. Trying to pass into these S's is a very risky move, but I wouldn't put it past them. These young kids can be really aggressive. A little bit of oversteer on the exit in turn 10. Did a good exit through Oak Tree. Of course, there used to be an oak tree there, like I said in the last video, but it was struck by lightning, so unfortunately they had to dig it up. It was a lot of really cool because there was also a corner worker station there, and they were right on top of the apex, so it was almost like if they were waving a flag, you could stick your arm out and grab it and take it with you. They were that close. But no more, unfortunately. As Ayrton makes a pass into roller coaster, I managed to do it without killing the engine. Another problem I was having in the roller coaster is that slight left-hand kink forces your body over to the right, and I'm using my left foot to brake. So while I've got my left foot sort of floating in the footwell, the G-forces of that left-hand kink sort of force my left foot onto my right foot, which is on the gas or off the gas. So my feet are getting jumbled up. As I think that's Scott Rubenzer passes me. He started in the very back of the pack, so he's working his way up through the field. So going into the roller coaster, my feet are actually getting crowded on top of each other, which makes it difficult as well. And the footwell in this car is extremely small. And another thing is that I'm actually, throughout the entire race, unless I'm on the brakes, I'm actually actively keeping my left foot off of the brake pedal and the clutch pedal. So the muscle in the front of my leg along the shin gets very, very tired. There's really not a lot of space to put a dead pedal in it for me to rest my foot. We're trying to figure out how to do that now, because if I could keep that foot relaxed, it would make the race a lot easier physically. Trying to stay with these cars, try to get that spot back from Scott Rubenzer, that black Spectrum, maybe claw our way back to Ayrton Ori. Rubenzer is throwing a move on Ayrton. Nice clean pass. Let us gain a little bit of ground on them. little bit too much curve there. It almost kicks me back out onto the grass like it did in race 2. But I'm able to recognize it and stay off the throttle for just a little bit longer to keep the car on the track. Of course, that then kills our exit speed down the straightaway into the S's. But rather that than drive off the track and possibly lose the position, even though you can't really see anyone in our mirrors. We would lose a lot of time that way. See that slow car? There goes Alex Barron. I'm not sure what his problem was, but it looks like his race is over. You can see on the bottom there, my best lap time is a 2-minute 3:02.89. In practice, where I set the 8th fastest time, I was actually a second faster than that. And in that, as I back the car into that corner, I get a lot of oversteer. My best time in practice session was actually a second faster than my best time so far in this race. And that was with the old tires that we were using at the previous race. So I'm not driving as well as I could be. I think that was just after such a difficult weekend and a difficult day the day before, I'm a little bit more tired than I usually am, both physically and mentally. Probably mostly mentally. Get some more oversteer. That's as cool as it looks. It slows us down, so try to get just up to the edge of the grip on the tires without going over, and you can see Alex Barron safely parked his car to the left, just off the track. I'm staying to the left there because the car's in front of me, even though they're a ways away. Just trying to leech off as much draft as I can. Even though the effect from that far back might not be recognizable really, but it's better to try it than to not. My last lap was a 2:04, so I'm 2/10 down from my fastest lap. It's not too bad. But again, we're way off the pace from practice, even though our tires were a lot older. These ones are pretty much fresh. They've got about half a race on them because we didn't do qualifying, and the first race was in the wet, and we didn't even really get enough running time to scratch off the stickers. As we back it in again, I think those are those brake bias problems that we've been having. We did do a little bit to fix it. An engineer from an F2000 team that I've known for a long time, he came over and helped us adjust it. But it's still causing some problems. I think that problem that we're having in the roller coaster, where the engine sort of sounds like it shuts down, I think that's still a brake bias problem, even though it sounds like the engine, like the rears are locking, but it doesn't really feel like it. Of course, when you're in the car, it's very difficult to diagnose something like that because the sound and the feeling are so different. As you can see, a standing yellow off the left. I think that's for Alex Barron, who parked his car in that auxiliary pit lane. So it's not a concern, although it does take away the passing zone in in Oak Tree. Of course, there's no cars for a ways behind us or a ways in front of us, so we're just cruising, trying to catch these two guys in front of us. Again, you can see the RPMs dip all the way down to 2,000 RPM. Really, I mean, in the car at the moment, I was not able to figure out why it was doing that, and watching this again, it's very bizarre. It doesn't really make any sense. I mean, the only thing that would make sense is if I have too much rear brake bias. Still. A little bit off the apex in turn 1. Should be able to do better than that. I think at this point my driving has deteriorated significantly. And this is our only race today, so I should be fresh. Except for the fact that it's, like I said, it's been a fairly difficult weekend mentally. So at this point I just kind of, I'm sick and tired of VIR. As much as I do like the track and the circuit and the area, pretty much just ready to go home. And of course, like I said, a weekend from this one is our race in Montreal, which I'm really looking forward to, because racing on a street circuit, or sort of a hybrid street circuit slash permanent, semi-permanent circuit in the middle of Montreal is a lot of fun. I spend most of my time in a large city, so to come to these racetracks, there's always a bit of culture shock since they're always out in the middle of nowhere. So to have a race in the middle of a city that I actually can take the subway to the racetrack is a lot of fun. It's really cool. And of course, to race in front of a large crowd is a lot of fun too. So this lap is a 2:05.64, so that's a good ways off my best time, which is also a good ways off of my best time from practice. So my driving right now, as I managed to get to the apex this time, my driving has deteriorated. I think I was doing pretty well at the start of the race, for the first half of the race or so, but once Rubenzer and Ayrton got away from me, I think I started shutting down a little bit and losing my confidence. It's also bizarre that the thing is doing that thing under braking in turn 14, which is one of a few hard braking zones on this track, but it's not doing it in turn 1. It's not doing it in turn 5, that sharp left-hander. And it's not doing it here in Oak Tree either. It's just that one particular part of the track. And the only difference between that I can think of is that you are sort of going into 14A through turn 14, which is a slight left-hand kink. So maybe it's unsettling the car in just the right way that makes it do something really bizarre. But I'm just having trouble visualizing, like using the cues, using the sound of the engine versus any sort of unsettling of the car to try to. See, it's not slowing down as well, and the engine stops. It sounds like it stops anyways. It slows down a lot. And I'm having trouble using these cues to try and picture what the car is doing, which makes it hard for me to diagnose. It's not like it's a bad downshift. doing it there. The car behaves completely normally going into turn 1. And you can see 2 cars coming up behind me. That was a little bit weird. You saw it looked like the back end was bouncing a little bit. You can hear the engine wavering. That might have been some rear brake bias issue. So we might that's probably something that's contributing to it. But definitely my driving in the second half of this race has been thoroughly subpar. And these cars, you can see the cars in my mirror. I think that's Mike Scanlon, who we passed easily earlier in the race and we're pulling away from easily. And now we've slowed down so much that he's caught back up to us. I think that's Sam Lockwood behind him. In that orange car. Now he's in my draft, so he's going to be able to get past. He tries to the outside. And now he's looking to the inside. I think he'll be able to get past pretty easily. Especially since I'm having all these weird problems in this particular corner. He stays on the outside and he takes the position. Sam Lockwood coming up behind me, trying to take another spot. So he pulls out to pass. You see the white flag waving, so this is the last lap. So hopefully, maybe I can get past Mike Scanlon and limit the damage from my poor performance in the second half of this race, but nope. Lockwood gets in front of me. So now I have 2 positions to make up before this race becomes a total disaster. I get a good exit through 10, so maybe I can stuff my nose up going into the oak tree. Not quite a good idea, I don't have quite enough, so now it's to try to get a good exit and see if I can get at least one of these positions back going into the roller coaster. I do get a good exit, I'm in his draft, building up momentum. Which side do I pick? It leaves me the outside for 14, which will give me the inside for 14A. I don't have quite enough to get next to him, so he's still in front of me. So Mike Scanlon seems to go wide. Coming out of the roller coaster. Going into the hog pen for the last time. Try to get a good exit here, and maybe I can get at least one of them. They're right on top of each other. I'm right on top of them. I do get a good exit. I'm slowly starting to build up momentum. Is it enough to get past? Go to the outside, alongside. So we take the checkered flag. Don't think I quite had enough. So we end up finishing in 14th position, which is actually last place on the track, which is really disappointing. Of course, we're outside of our top 10 goal. And I think I drove well in the first half of the race, and then I think I just was mentally fatigued halfway through it. And with no cars in front of me to chase and nobody behind me to push me until the very end, I sort of got complacent, and my pace slowed way down and allowed these 2 guys to catch up to me. So there were some bright spots at the beginning of the race and at the beginning of practice, at the beginning of the weekend, but overall a really disappointing weekend. Of course, the good thing is that we don't have a whole lot of time to dwell on it, as the next weekend will be in Montreal, which of course I have those races up. And we'll be in Mid-Ohio, not too long after this. I have those races finished, and I'll have those coming up soon too. So we'll just have to put this weekend behind us and move on. So thanks for watching, everyone. Like I said, we've got the races in Montreal up, so if you haven't seen those, check those out. They were great fun to participate in, and I think they're fun to watch too. And then we'll have the races from Mid-Ohio up very shortly, and then after that we go to Pittsburgh International Race Complex. And then after that, there's 2 more races left in the season at Summit Point and then New Jersey. So thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you at Montreal and then at Mid-Ohio.